John Elway just dropped a bombshell on the entire NFL. A&D Sean Payton should be smiling from ear to ear, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle up, because Mile High City has a message for the rest of the National Football League, and it is coming straight from the mouth of a legend. John Elway, the man with the golden arm, the 2 Super Bowl rings as a player, the front office genius who built championship rosters from scratch, has spoken, and what he said should send a chill down the spine of every single team hoping to knock off the Denver Broncos in 2026. This is not some throwaway compliment. This is not Elway being polite at a golf tournament because a reporter shoved a microphone in his face. This is a full-blown, no-holds-barred endorsement of Sean Payton, and it is happening at the exact moment the Broncos are positioning themselves as the scariest team nobody wants to admit is scary. So sit back, relax, and let us break down why John Elway believes something special, something historic, something that could end in confetti falling from the Denver sky is building all over again. Let's set the stage, because context is everything in this story. John Elway is not just some retired quarterback who shows up to alumni events and signs autographs. This man is the Denver Broncos. 16 seasons under center, 2 Super Bowl titles as a player. Then, just when everyone thought his story was finished, he came back as an executive and built another championship roster, delivering a 3rd Lombardi trophy to Denver as general manager. When John Elway talks about Broncos football, people do not just listen, they lean in. And after everything this franchise has been through over the last decade, everything he is now seeing from Sean Payton's football team has him genuinely fired up. Now let's rewind for a second, because you need to understand just how far this organization has come to appreciate how big this moment really is. Remember the years after Peyton Manning rode off into the sunset with that 3rd title? It was an absolute horror show in Denver. Quarterback carousel after quarterback carousel. 13 different starting quarterbacks during Elway's final stretch as general manager. Then came the Russell Wilson gamble, a blockbuster trade that was supposed to fix everything and instead turned into one of the most spectacular offensive collapses in modern NFL history. 16.9 points per game, dead last in the league, a once proud franchise reduced to a punchline. Broncos Country was in mourning, and frankly, so was Elway, watching from the sidelines as the team he built brick by brick crumbled in real time. Then, Denver made the move that changed everything. They brought in Sean Payton, a coach who had already won a Super Bowl in New Orleans, a coach who had been out of the game for a year doing television, sharpening his mind, watching the entire league evolve while he sat on the sidelines with a headset instead of a whistle. When Payton arrived in Denver, Elway was one of the very first people to publicly throw his support behind him, calling him a perfect fit for exactly where the organization stood. But here's the thing, that was just Elway being hopeful, optimistic, cautiously excited about a fresh start. What we are hearing from him now, heading into 2026, is a completely different animal. This is not hope anymore. This is conviction. Because let's talk about what Sean Payton has actually built in Denver. This is not a rebuild happening in slow motion anymore. It has already arrived. Quarterback Bo Nix, the 12th overall pick, who some draft analysts doubted, has turned into exactly the kind of franchise cornerstone Elway has been begging this organization to find since the day he retired his own jersey. Nix authored one of the greatest rookie seasons a quarterback has ever had, throwing for nearly 30 touchdowns, the 2nd most for any rookie signal caller in NFL history, while adding rushing scores on top of it. Then he backed it up. He led Denver to their first playoff appearance in 9 long years. He orchestrated a stunning 14-point road comeback against a previously unbeaten Philadelphia Eagles squad that had the entire football world doing a double take. And most recently, he helped push this team all the way to the #1 seed in the AFC. That is not a fluke. That is a young quarterback being molded by one of the most brilliant offensive minds this league has ever produced. And this is exactly where Elway's praise gets personal, because Elway knows something about surviving a rocky rookie season and turning it into greatness. He has said it himself, comparing notes with Nix's development, pointing out that Nix actually navigated his first year even smoother than Elway did his own. And Elway did not exactly have a bad career, in case you forgot. Elway has openly credited Payton for the way he brought Nix along, calling him not just a brilliant play designer, but essentially a psychologist for how he manages the mental side of quarterback development. Think about that phrase for a second, a psychologist. That is not typical coach speak. That is
up
Elway
here,
acknowledging that Payton
and had a huge
understands
heart.
something most coaches never grasp, that building a championship quarterback is not just about scheme. It is about trust, patience, and knowing exactly when to hand over the keys. And Payton did hand over those keys, gradually, deliberately, like a master craftsman refusing to rush a masterpiece. Early on, the offense was simplified, conservative, protective of a young passer still learning the speed of the NFL game. But bit by bit, series by series, game by game, Payton opened up the playbook, trusting Knicks with more and more responsibility. Elway watched this entire transformation unfold and gave Payton the ultimate compliment a former quarterback can give a coach. He said Payton stays disciplined to what he believes, refusing to overextend his young quarterback before he was ready. That kind of coaching wisdom, Elway suggested, is exactly why Denver's offense slowly, steadily became a machine instead of a liability. But here's where the story gets even juicier, because it is not just the offense that has Elway buzzing. It's the entire culture of this football team. Elway has pointed directly at Denver's defense as a driving force behind this resurgence, a defense that led the entire NFL in sacks not once, but in back-to-back seasons, a defense anchored by All-Pro force Zach Allen and shut down lockdown corner Patrick Surtain II. A player many analysts now consider not just one of the best cornerbacks in football, but arguably the best. Full stop, no debate. Elway has praised how this defense allowed Payton the luxury of not putting the entire burden on Knicks' shoulders in those crucial early development years, letting the offense run the football, play action off of it, and ease their young star quarterback into situations he could actually handle instead of throwing him to the wolves. Now fast forward to where things stand heading into 2026, and this is where Elway's excitement reaches an entirely new stratosphere. He has openly said the Broncos stay after it, that they play hard all the time and compete all the time, and that they are never out of it in their mind, a mentality he directly credits to Sean Payton's leadership. And then, in one of the boldest statements you will ever hear a Hall of Famer make about a coach who is not even in his own family, Elway declared, flat out, hands down, that Sean Payton should be the NFL's Coach of the Year. Not a candidate, not in the conversation. Hands down. He called it amazing that Payton was not already the runaway favorite for the award, insisting there is no coach in the league who is more experienced, more knowledgeable, or who simply knows how to win football games better than Sean Payton does right now. And folks, this is not just Elway blowing smoke for old time's sake. The numbers back him up in a way that should make the rest of the league nervous. Denver's offensive line, one of the best units in the entire NFL for multiple years running, is returning all 5 starters yet again for the 3rd consecutive season, including 2 first-team All-Pro linemen anchoring both sides of the trenches. That kind of continuity in the modern NFL, where rosters turn over constantly due to salary cap gymnastics and free agency chaos, is almost unheard of. It is a foundation most franchises would kill for, and it is exactly the kind of stability that allows a quarterback like Knicks to keep developing without constantly relearning a new supporting cast around him. Now here's a fresh twist that has Broncos Country buzzing even louder heading into this season. Sean Payton just made one of the boldest, most selfless coaching decisions of his entire career, and it happened right as this Elway praise was making headlines. Despite Denver finishing as the top seed in the AFC, despite ranking in the top 10 in offensive efficiency, Payton voluntarily handed over play calling duties to his offensive coordinator Davis Webb. Think about that for a moment. This is a coach who has personally called plays since 2006. A coach known throughout league circles for being fiercely, almost stubbornly, hands-on with every single detail of his offense. And yet here he is, willingly stepping back, trusting his staff, prioritizing what gives this team the best chance to win over his own ego. Around the league, the reaction was stunning. Former NFL quarterbacks and respected analysts openly admitted they could not fathom Payton ever giving up play calling voluntarily, with one particular former signal caller saying it tells you everything you need to know about how much trust Payton has in Webb. Broncos insiders called it one of the most selfless moves they had ever seen from a coach previously viewed by many as controlling, even a little egotistical. But that is exactly the point. This is a coach who has stopped worrying about his own legacy and started obsessing purely over the Lombardi Trophy. And speaking of trophies, Sean Payton himself has not been shy about where he thinks this team is headed. He has already gone on record, publicly, naming this current Broncos roster as one of the select few teams throughout his entire decorated coaching career that he genuinely believes can compete for a Super Bowl. Remember, this is a man who won it all with Drew Brees in New Orleans. And Payton himself gushing about the young talent stepping up when given the opportunity. Even in practice, Payton has been referencing plays from Broncos history, literally pulling inspiration from an Elway-era Super Bowl touchdown to design new wrinkles in his current offense. That is a beautiful, almost poetic full-circle moment, isn't it? The architect of today's Broncos borrowing genius from the architect of yesterday's Broncos, weaving Denver's championship past directly into its championship future. So when you step back and look at the complete picture, a franchise quarterback who has already rewritten the rookie record book, a defense that has led the league in sacks in back-to-back seasons, an offensive line loaded with continuity and all-pro talent, a head coach humble enough to hand over play calling for the good of the team, and a Hall of Fame legend publicly declaring that coach deserves Coach of the Year honors hands down, it becomes crystal clear why John Elway is not holding back his excitement anymore. This is not blind loyalty to a franchise he loves. This is a man who has won championships as both a player and an executive. Looking at the current state of the Denver Broncos and seeing all the pieces he spent years trying to assemble himself finally clicking into place under somebody else's watch, and instead of being bitter about it, instead of being jealous, Elway is celebrating it, cheering it on, practically begging the football world to pay attention before it is too late. Because make no mistake, the rest of the AFC should be paying very, very close attention right now. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, every single contender circling the calendar for a potential Super Bowl run needs to understand that Denver is not some feel-good underdog story anymore. This is a legitimate, battle-tested, top-seed earning football machine, built by a coach who has already proven he can win the ultimate prize, powered by a young quarterback who might just be scratching the surface of his ceiling, and now publicly blessed by arguably the greatest player in franchise history. That combination, folks, is exactly how dynasties get built. That is exactly how legends are made. And if John Elway, a man who has seen absolutely everything this organization has ever been through, the highest highs and the most gut-wrenching lows, is telling you something special is brewing in Mile High City, you had better believe it. So there you have it. The man who delivered Denver 2 championships as a player and a 3rd as an executive is putting his stamp of approval on this new era, and he is doing it loudly, proudly, and without a shred of hesitation. Sean Payton has the trust of the locker room, the trust of the front office, and now, unmistakably, the trust of John Elway himself. Whether that trust translates into a 4th Lombardi trophy for this storied franchise remains to be seen, but one thing is absolutely certain. Nobody in the National Football League should be sleeping on the Denver Broncos heading into this season. And that is where we leave things today, Broncos fans and football fanatics alike. What do you think? Is Sean Payton building the next great Denver dynasty? Or is this hype getting ahead of itself before a single snap of the regular season? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below, because we want to hear exactly where you stand. If this video got you fired up, smash that like button right now. Share it with every Broncos fan you know. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a single breaking story from around the league. We will see you in the next one.